Good evening. It's Vijay here. Welcome to yet another weekend commentary. This is a special one. I'm doing it on Friday because I'm not available the next 2 days. For me, this is one of those really very important weekend commentaries because the topic is very hot, and the topic is one which will make people panic as to what happens when there is a war, terror attack. And so, how does the market behave if there is a war or any terror attack? Now, usually, and even now, we have seen that after the unfortunate attack on Tuesday, when about 28 tourists were killed in Pahalgam, there has been a lot of panic for the last 3 days. That was Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday because it happened on Tuesday. Now, today there was more panic than yesterday and day before because you see it's a weekend and the people expected something to happen from India's side. Some attack from India's side on Pakistan. Some people are talking that it will be a war. People will take over, the Indian army will take over Pakistan, they'll take over Balochistan and all, so on and so forth. Now, the people who are talking absolutely have no understanding, idea of geopolitics, how wars are fought. So they are all what I would call keyboard warriors. So I assume that they have done their job very well today because there was a lot of panic and retail and ultra high net worth individuals and PMS or AIFs, they've all sold very heavily because what we are seeing is at the end of the day, FIs have bought about 3,000 crores net, and DIs have bought about 3,500 crores net. So totally 6,500 crores have been bought by institutions, and somebody has sold to them. That must be logically retailers, HNIs, PMS, and AIFs, all because of a fear of war over the weekend and death and destruction going to happen across the board. So what I normally do in such circumstances is I separate the wheat from the chaff, go back to data, look at data of the past and see how markets behaved in the past. Whether these guys who come on TV and on other social media, when they scare us, whether really these things like this has happened in the past, and if so, what has been the damage? Gone back 25 years. So totally, I have taken eight such instances. There are two wars. One was the Ukraine war, and one was the Kargil war, and there was 9/11, which is not connected to India directly. Same thing, Ukraine war is not connected to India directly. If you take terrorist attacks, there were six terrorist attacks in the last 25 years, six major terrorist attacks. Out of that, one was 9/11. The other five were directly related to India, the latest one being the one in Pahalgam. So I've gone back and seen each of the data, and let's see how things have evolved. So let us go to the latest war which happened between Russia and Ukraine. This happened on February 24th of 2022. The market was on a downtrend. The downtrend had started in September 2021 in Indian market. So it was coming down because it was in a bearish phase. And this happened. There was a big gap opening here. You can see the red candle. There was total panic, but the panic subsided the very next day. The very next day, there was a green candle. The following day was a green candle. And then it settled down. The next round of selling came after 3 days. The war was still in its infancy. And then for 2-3 days, the market fell. But immediately it bounced back. So if you look at it within 10 days after the bad news or the sudden news of Russia entering Ukraine came, the market had regained, even though it was in a bear phase. And if you see further, it went up in March and peaked out in April. And then afterwards, there was a lot of volatility. At that point of time, inflation was very high. Fed was raising interest rates, and we were in a bear market. So yet we saw a quick pullback. So which came as sudden on 24th February. Next day, that day was a big gap down. Next day, following day, it went up, and then it came down again, made a new low, made a lot of people feel that the worst is going to come, and then the market bounced back. And we visited this only in the month of May. So this is February and March of 2022. Then let's go to another war, which is Kargil War, which happened in 1999. So if you look at it, the beginning of Kargil War, actually the market started going up. This red rectangle is when the Kargil War took place. It was about 6 to 8 weeks. So this I have put the Sensex here, and if you see, I am not looking here at to how much it went up. I'm only looking here at the direction and how much time did the the impact was there on the markets. So while the Kargil war lasted till end of July, the market slowly and steadily started going up. In fact, it went up quickly here, took some rest, and then kept on going up. And this bottom, what we saw in May, we never got to see in the next year also. So Kargil war was related to us, directly connected, yet we saw an upward trend going into the next 6 weeks. So that was the two wars. Then let's look at what happened in 9/11. 9/11 came all of a sudden. Again, it opened with a gap here. It opened with a gap here. And then for 4 or 5 days, it fell down because the global markets, that is, the US market was closed because it had hit near the Wall Street. And therefore, it took us about a week to understand, because this was a terror attack which we had never seen before. There was a bear market going on at that point of time also, because the dot-com boom had burst in March of 2000, and this was 2001. And September 11, 2001, all of a sudden it has come, big gap, 3-4 days down, US markets closed, and then when US markets opened, it was almost bottom, and then it started an upward trend. And within a month, it had already crossed the September 11th levels. After that, it went up for the next 6 to 8 months till February of 2002. I have just put only a few data points. Again, what I want to emphasize is, like what happened in Ukraine, what happened in Kargil, both of them wars, immediately the market bounced back. Same thing in 9/11. It's a terrorist attack, the first major terrorist attack which we are looking into this out of the 6. So this was when it bounced back. Then let's look at 26/11. 26/11 was the Bombay attack by the terrorists. So they came, and again it was a bear market. In 2008, there was a global financial crisis, but look at it. After that, it did not do anything. And for after 3 days, the market did try to fall down, but then this was almost the low. There was a rally which was beginning just before the 26/11, and the rally did not falter, and then it took off, and then it went up in end of December and then fell. See, we were into the global financial crisis, yet we did not see any major fall soon after an attack which killed a huge number of people, which hit Bombay, which was our financial capital. So once again, the market shook off the terror attack. Then we come to the Uri attack. The Uri attack, where 19 soldiers were killed, and it came all of a sudden. And if you see here again, the market was actually going up. It went up after the Uri attack. It went up. Strangely, it went up. Then after 3 days, there was the retaliation by India, what we call the surgical strike. Again, if you look at surgical strike, it just one day it fell after that. Surgical strike happened here. Then one day it did not do anything. Next day, one big fall. But again, within 2 days, it recovered. So the Uri attack also, when 19 soldiers were killed, the surgical strike happened 11 days later, and then it bounced back, and then it started coming down. The reason why it was coming down was in 2016, we were just coming out of a big bear market starting from March of 2015. So this fall was a global fall. It got nothing to do with India. And so this is one time where the soldiers were killed. We did a surgical strike, but for about 15-20 days, nothing happened. And then other things came into consideration. We had a Brexit there, and all of that brought the markets down significantly over the next few months. And then we had demonetization, and then things only got worse that year. Then we go to Pulwama Balakot. This happened in 2019. 2019, Pulwama, 40 soldiers were killed. 40 soldiers were killed, and for 2-3 days, market fell down, and then it took off. And then we reiterated with Balakot, and then on the day of the Balakot was probably the bottom for that. Imagine just on Pulwama, 40 soldiers were killed. Again, a total shock and surprise. The market was falling about 4 days before. 2019, the market was going nowhere. Overall, till February, if you observe, it is a sideways market. And the shock came 2-3 days, the market bounced back, and Balakot happened from our side, and then it just took off. The market just took off. So at best, for 1 week, there was some kind of a panic between the soldiers, Indian soldiers being killed in Pulwama, and our attack on Balakot. Then we have the Galwan Valley crisis between that was between Pakistan and India. This was between China and India. The start of that crisis happened somewhere in April. In May, 20 soldiers were killed, and that too, they were not killed with guns. It was killed, they were using stones and sticks. 20 soldiers were killed when we got the news, but this is start of the problem. And then nothing was happening. Market took it in its stride, but suddenly we heard the news about 20 soldiers being killed, and slowly and steadily the market went up. This was the time later, in August end, shots were fired. That means actually guns were used. The market did fall for some time, but it kept on going up. Now, most important is here, nobody died in the shots fired place. 20 soldiers got killed without any use of any artillery or any kinds of guns. Only purely by sticks and stones, people were killed. So it went on. That crisis went on till a long time. But during the crisis, the market did not care. 2020, this was soon after COVID. The market kept on going up. It was taken in the background. Whatever the news went into the background. Then we come to Pahalgam, which is where it has happened. The markets have been going up. Pahalgam happened about a few days ago. That was on Tuesday. 28 tourists have been killed. Next day, the market actually has gone up. Only today it has fallen down because it is a weekend and people are scared. And if we go by what has happened in the past, then this panic should not last for more than a week or 10 days. And generally, the market should not fall off significantly. This is what has history told us. Now, I am not able to see any time, excepting the 2016. Again, I mentioned that was because we are coming out of a bear market and we had the Brexit issue. So that was where the market was very, very weak. Globally, markets were in bear market in February, March, and they were just coming out of that. So that is an exception. Really speaking, even there we were okay. But by and large, the panic did not last for too long. So when you're going to go back and see here, again, I take you to Galwan, and then this is Balakot, which has gone up. Then you take this Uri attack, soldiers getting killed and surgical strike. Then you go to 2611, which happened, nothing in Bombay, nothing really happened for the markets. And this was 911, markets after 7 days, the market started going up for the next 6 months. This is Kargil war, which started. The war started and the bull market also started. And that was the dot-com boom. The Ukraine war, again, during a bear market, nothing much happened. Within 10 days, the effect was gone. So if you see in any manner, we are seeing nothing lasting for a long time. This is the only time in Uri attack, there was this sideways. And as I said, after more than a month, the surgical strike had gone. After that, there was no follow-up. So nothing happened during that time. In fact, the market went up after surgical strike. It fell down one day and then it went up. Same thing with the when the 19 soldiers were killed, for 2-3 days, the market went up. So net, what I want to say is that in the past, we have taken 7 such situations where the markets have invariably shrugged off the terrorist attack or even a war like Kargil or the Ukraine and have continued to go on their path. Currently, the market seems to be bullish, but you have had a reaction today, a significant reaction, because it's a weekend and there is a lot of fear that something bad will happen. Please note, Pakistan and India both are nuclear states. It is very, very unlikely that a full-fledged war will take place because they also have nuclear bomb. It is not that only India has got. So there is no deterrent for them. Now, usually what happens is when the first leg, what India normally does is they will chase the terror camps. They know where the terror camps are, and they are likely to go and bomb those terror camps like what they did in the past. So that effect will not last for a long time, in my opinion. Even today, the Pakistani establishment is quite scared, it looks like, where they say, we have not done anything. In Kargil, remember, there were Pakistan soldiers. In none of the others, there were anything to do with Pakistan. There were no Pakistan army. It was only terrorists. So again, here also, there are two terrorists from India and two terrorists from Pakistan. So, there is no actual evidence of Pakistan army people. Even when there is evidence in Kargil, the market took off. It did not bother too much because the market knows that sooner or later there will be peace because India is too important a too important a country. Already we have got support from US, Israel, and other Europe. So they were all on India's side. So it's very, very unlikely that even if there is, us retaliating, the retaliation will not again come back from Pakistan, in my opinion. And the analysis which I have shown here, and this is history. So I feel we should be not so scared because this is what I remember of Peter Lynch, who said the key to making money in stocks is not to get scared out of them. Today, lots of people have got scared out of their stocks, of their positions. Even yesterday, when FIS bought some 7,000 and odd crores, they have got scared. They have bought from people, the retailers, because all the mutual fund managers, not mutual fund, the PMS managers, all of them are very scared. So for 2 days in succession, FIs are bought heavily. Institution like DIs are bought today. So who has sold? Again, I repeat, it must be the retailers and what shall I say, the PMS and the AIF people. So all said and done, I think we should just stand back and just look at it and not think that the market is going to collapse or something bad will happen. So there is, this history is telling us. So people may say it could be an exception this time. I do not know. It could be an exception. Markets, anything can happen. I'm only presenting you historical facts. I am not a SEBI registered advisor. What I am doing is we have not sold a single share. If we get money, we are going to invest, and some family money is coming next week. We are putting that money into the market based purely on fundamentals of the stocks and fundamentals of fundamental factors in our economy, rather than worry about whether we will get into a hot war or the kinetic war, that is, between India and Pakistan, army to army. I am unable to believe something like that will happen. So we are going confidently. I can't advise you, but whatever you do, just consider this history and then go ahead and do what you think is best. For me, this I had to say because nobody is talking about it. I have not seen anybody talking about history of terror attacks and the war and the effect on the markets. I have presented you data, pure data for 25 years across seven instances. The eighth instance is Pahalgam. I think Pahalgam also will go the same way as the remaining ones have gone. I think we are in beginning of a bullish phase. I think after a few days, we should resume the bullish phase. So whatever you do, please consult your advisor and then